What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your daily news report for Tuesday, April 26th. So things are finally starting to happen. This is good news. We are now starting to see that certain senators are talking and they're discussing additional deals. We know there's still the potential for more stimulus. There's still talks of climate spending. We now know that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he wants to fast track Ukraine aid and also food assistance that President Biden is supposed to announce very soon. So we're going to discuss all these things in today's video. First, all I ask is if you can spend just 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. Now, let's get right down to it. Because over the past the past 5 months, Democrats have been almost at a standstill on the Build Back Better Act and other priorities. This includes one of their main goals of passing climate spending. Now, this is going to change, okay? That seems to be changing because according to Bloomberg, Senator Joe Manchin, who's the one that has been holding up the entire Build Back Better Act, well, he is now the one looking across the aisle towards Republicans, okay? Joe Manchin's a Democrat. He's now looking across the aisle to Republicans to try to get a bipartisan energy package. Okay? That's his goal. He wants to get this passed. Now, this would likely, according to reports, include some parts of the Build Back Better Act. But if Democrats are going to get this passed and it's going to be a bipartisan bill, they cannot attach other things to this, or else this could really kill the entire bill. So, here's what I can tell you. Senator Joe Manchin, he's opposed passing any bill through a budget reconciliation. He doesn't want to do this. Even though they've done it in the past, this was their last resort. And he doesn't want to do this because right now, Democrats wouldn't need a single Republican voter in order to pass a bill if they do it through a budget reconciliation, which only needs 51 votes in the Senate. Well, they have 50 senators, and then the tie-breaking vote would be Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, here's what you need to know. There's 2 main reasons why Senator Joe Manchin opposes passing another budget reconciliation. The first one is he doesn't want to see the U.S. deficit go up. We cannot deficit spend. And that was one of the problems before, was even though it looked from the front, it looked like the bill was going to be fully funded. The problem is a lot of these provisions, they cut off after just a couple years, and if they were to get extended, then we'd have to deficit spend. Now, here's the other thing. The second reason why Senator Joe Manchin's opposed to passing a budget reconciliation is because that puts pressure on Democrats. If we continue to see inflation run up and Democrats pass additional bills through a budget reconciliation, that puts all the pressure, okay? That puts all the responsibility on Democrats. And that would hurt in any year, okay? Especially an election year. Now, yesterday, Senator Joe Manchin, he held an interview, he talked about what he wants, and he said that if I can find something bipartisan, we don't need reconciliation. And one of his spokespersons said that, as Senator Joe Manchin met with senators from both parties, what he's trying to do is he's trying to gauge bipartisan interest in a path forward to address our nation's climate and energy security needs head on. That was what they said. Now, something that Senator Joe Manchin said is that right now there is bipartisan support for a reform for the federal oil and gas leasing process. He also stated that Congress could focus on increasing domestic production of energy, and we could provide incentives to climate-related spending. That was what he said. Okay, that this is what they have so far as getting some bipartisan support. Now, again, we don't know if that means there's one Republican that supports this idea or there's 50 Republican senators that support this idea. We don't know. Okay, but right now it's at least one. That's what makes it bipartisan. Again, it's just the way politics are. Now, here's something else that you need to understand. Where Senator Joe Manchin is at right now, okay, he wants to see more done. He wants to see something done for the American people. He wants to see energy prices, they keep rising. He wants to see some type of stability here. But the expectation amongst other Democrats is that if Senator Joe Manchin is going to get what he wants in this bill, then we are going to add in a few of our other key priorities from the Build Back Better Act. Now, I want to touch on this, okay, because this is where these additional stimulus talks are coming in. Because what is being discussed right now is there's a couple things. One is prescription drug reform. This is where many people say we have to put a cap or put a lid on prescription prices, because right now the American people are overpaying for everything. You go to another country, you can get the exact same stuff for like a fifth of the price, a tenth of the price, and it's just not right. So that's one thing that they want to do. They also are considering attaching affordable housing into this climate spending bill. Now, and I know a lot of people are going to ask, well, what about direct relief for us on Social Security? What about that? Well, according to multiple reports, the prescription drug reform is to lower the price of medication. Well, according to the administration, that's what they're looking at as a way to provide relief to people on a fixed income. So that's kind of the stimulus that they're looking at. And again, it's so frustrating if you are on a fixed income, because you're like, well, maybe I don't have that many medications, so I don't spend that much. Or it's like, oh, I spend all this money, but at the same time, it's not going to save me that much. A check would do much better. So we'll see what happens, but that's currently what's being discussed. Now, here's something else that's being discussed, and according to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, this is something that he wants to see fast-tracked if and when it does happen. Because what he's saying is that when President Biden submits a new funding request to Congress for additional aid to Ukraine, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he expects a swift and bipartisan bill. Now, we don't know the exact size of what additional aid we could be looking at, but according to Senator Richard Shelby, he says that $5 billion is what's currently being discussed. And Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says, and I quote, "We must continue helping the people of Ukraine in their fight against Russian aggression, and I expect swift bipartisan cooperation to get it done." Now, some Republicans are considering attaching an immigration-related measure to these bills. And one of the reasons why is because the Biden administration is considering rescinding the Trump administration's order to shut down the U.S. immigration asylum system. Now, here's something else I want to keep you updated on. Not only are we looking at additional assistance or additional funding and aid to Ukraine, but the Biden administration also wants to top that off and include food aid to Ukraine as well. And I want to touch on this for a second, because I know if you see this on Fox News or CNN or whatever news station you watch, chances are it's going to make you very upset. And I understand why, because people are asking, well, is it really necessary for us to spend, billions of dollars to, people in Ukraine when, there's still millions and millions of Americans that are starving right here in the United States? And I get that, okay? But according to experts, this is the reason why this is such an important piece of relief. They say this is important because in order for Ukraine to fully bounce back, they need additional support. They need support to help rebuild. They need support to continue to fight off Russia. They need support for food. And they say once Ukraine can bounce back from this war, which again is still ongoing, then the U.S. and other countries will finally be able to get back to normal. We won't have to keep sending additional aid to Ukraine, right? We can get back to normal, because that means gas prices will likely go down. Food prices are going to drop. Hopefully inflation starts a downward trend as well, right? All these things are extremely important, but it's going to take some time. It's going to take time. It's going to take money. It's going to take an investment from the United States and other countries to fully get back to normal. So, like I said, it will take time, and we will see when that actually happens. And speaking of Russia and Ukraine, let's talk about that for a second. Because as of this morning, according to Moscow, They have said that if the U.S. and allies continue to pledge heavier arms to Ukraine, then there will be an increased risk of a nuclear war. That's what they're saying. Okay? So just understand, if we don't, and when I say we, I'm talking about the United States and other, other countries, if we don't provide assistance to Ukraine, whether it's through weapons or food or just money, whatever, the problem with that is Russia would likely take over. Okay? Obviously, major concern there. The other thing is, if we take too long to provide this, the war is going to drag out, and it's going to cause a lot of issues globally, not just here in the United States. So again, it's something that we need to keep in mind, that this is something that's going to take a little while, and we do have to continue to provide support. I know a lot of people question, well, we need support here at home. And that's the problem is, according to multiple experts, we can't just take all our money and just invest into us here, because we are relying on other countries. And that's the problem. And that's what many people have stated for decades, is we can't be reliant on China. We can't be 100% reliant on this country or that country. Well, here in the United States, we have to be relying on other countries because we can't produce everything that is being produced elsewhere. So again, a lot of issues, but that's currently what we know. So as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.